As a real estate entrepreneur, we know that it comes down to two things: conversations and making offers. Conversations. Let's just stay on that for just a second, right? What we're doing there is we qualify our prospect, right? And we extract what their pain is. And then from there, we make sure that they're the decision maker. And then we match up our offers to their pain. All right? Absolutely. That is the process. That's the 4-step process that we go through when we're having a quality conversation with a property owner. All right. This is how we understand how to match up and how to make sure that the offers that we present to them get accepted. So let's look at this. Let's talk about this. Let's break down some ways to get more offers accepted, because what happens, that's all wonderful in a vacuum. Right? That's all wonderful if it's just you and the property owner. But what happens if I go in there and offer $200,000 and you go in there and offer $200,000 to this property owner? How do you make your offers more juicy, more seductive, more of what the seller is looking for? Right? And that is, it's really a combination and a mixture of these 5 little knobs, little terms that you can negotiate in your offer when you're actually putting an offer to paper, right? Or maybe you're doing this virtually and you're doing it over the phone, but these are going to help you to get more of your offers accepted. All right. Number 1 is to close faster. All right. Now, if you have the ability to go in there and get them their money and get them out of a situation faster than somebody else's, than a competing offer, because the competing offer, maybe they're newer. Maybe they've been taught that they only can close in 30 days. They don't know that you can close in 3 days or in 7 days. Or maybe they don't have the funds. They don't have the backing to be able to go there and actually close on the deal and be done with it and take ownership of the property. Maybe they're only wholesaling. Maybe they only have the ability to get the property under contract and sell that deal. Well, we've talked timeless times on this show and on this channel about making sure that you have the financial backing to be able to close every single offer. You simply go out and find somebody that's already doing this and partner up with them if you need to be able to close faster, if that's important to them. Again, you don't know that until you extract their pain, until you understand what is really important to this property owner. Okay, but being able to close faster is powerful because it shows that you know what you're doing, and 2, they can get their money faster. Easy. You get it. All right. I'm not going to beat that up too much. That one's easy. Earnest money. All right. If you go in and you offer $10 earnest money and I go in and offer $10,000 earnest money, I have a distinct advantage. Okay. But there's a lot of different ways that we can play around with earnest money, right? We can make the earnest money non-refundable in a shorter amount of time, right? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, listen, I'm willing to give you more earnest money, $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 of earnest money, and I'll make it non-refundable after 5 days. All I need is 5 days to make sure that I can do my inspections, get the people in that I need to make sure that we can move forward with this deal. Does that work for you? And you've got a 10-day inspection with $10 earnest money. You see how things are you're starting to, tweak some different terms in the purchase agreement to make it stronger for them to do business with you. What if you did 10,000 non-refundable earnest, no inspection, because it's a smoking hot deal? We've done this a ton of times. What if you did $10,000 non-refundable, released to you immediately, seller, as soon as we have this agreement signed? Woo! I am telling you, when you know your market so well and you understand when you've got a smoking hot deal, there should be nothing stopping you from going out there and getting that property locked up. This is what Ryan Thornton and Chad Coulter on my team, my acquisition managers, do all day long. They use these 5 little tools in the toolbox to be able to get our offers accepted more than other people. We're in Phoenix, right? Most of our business is Phoenix, Tucson, and some of the northern Arizona markets. And it is, there are other offers. We have competing offers on every single property that we go after. But guess what? We get a majority of them because of these right here. We know when it's a real deal, and we sink our teeth into those deals, and we do not let go. It doesn't matter. We'll close faster. We'll give you earnest money. We'll release it to you. And then credibility, right? We get into the credibility part. Well, Brent, I just started in this business. I don't have a lot of credibility. I don't have a lot of backing. Find somebody in your market that does. Find somebody. Consider it almost like an apprenticeship as you're getting started. When you find somebody that you vibe with, that has really good energy, that communicates really effectively with you. That's the number one thing you're looking for with somebody in your market that you can like JV with, joint venture on your first few deals or partner on your first few deals. You leverage their credibility if you have to. Look at all these deals that we've done in the last year. Here's the title company that you can call and talk to make sure that we're closing deals and we make it as smooth as possible for the property owners that we work with. Here is all of the different flips that we've done, right? Get the credibility. If you need to leverage credibility, go out there and find somebody that's going to do that. And they want to do that because they're going to get paid. It's going to be a free deal for them. But you need to make sure that it's a real deal. But credibility goes a long way, especially when you're talking to and here's the interesting thing. Credibility might not be the first thing that the property owner's thinking about, but you can plant the seed in their brain. Let me explain to you what's happening right now in the marketplace, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. We're having this conversation every single day. What people are doing is they're going to give you whatever you want for the property. They're gonna put it under contract at a price that they know that they cannot close with. But then they're gonna start beating you up every single day and week to get the price down to where we're at right now, maybe even lower. Or worst case scenario, what they're gonna do is they're gonna put this property under contract and then they're gonna file something called a memorandum of contract. They're gonna literally put a cloud on your title. And they know that they can't close here, but they know that somebody's going to have to pay them to remove that cloud or you can't sell your property. This is happening every single day. I want to make sure that this doesn't happen to you. We've got the toppest grade with the Better Business Bureau. By the way, the Better Business Bureau is a company. If you guys didn't realize that, it's not a government agency. You literally just give them money to get a good rating. Right. And then you could actually market with them. We marketed with them for a while to their audience of people that go to Better Business Bureau. I mean, it's really interesting. You should definitely make sure that you've got a really high Better Business Bureau rating. It's really easy to do as a side note, but we've got the toppest grade Better Business Bureau. Here's all the deals that we've closed. Here's all the happy testimonials that we have. Here's some videos that you can watch. We're the real deal, and we want to make sure that this is as smooth as possible. Does the other offer have this?
I got a quick question. So what's a cloud on title, and how would you describe that to a seller?
Yeah, so a cloud on title means that the title company will not issue title insurance, which every lender requires, before all the clouds are removed from the title. That means that nobody has any rights to that property or rights to purchase that property or is owed money from that property.
So would an example be, let's say that you're behind on taxes and the IRS
100%.
puts a lien on your home.
Yes.
That's considered a cloud.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's a lien.
A lien. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little confusing. Clouds on title is just like who actually has the right to sell the property.
Okay.
Right. So there's different clouds. Some clouds would be some ownership issues, that type of thing.
Cool.
Anyway, credibility matters. Right. Okay. Number 4, remove the obstacles. Let me give you a beautiful example. We worked with this seller, John, and he had a hoarder house. It was right over here in Glendale, and it was like packed. I'm telling you guys, there was like a goat path through the property, and he knew he needed to sell. He was behind, Mike, on his mortgage. Okay. He was going to lose the property. And, but he could not bear the fact that he had to part with all of this stuff.
All the great
I
stuff.
mean, it was like phone books. It was like every piece of mail he's ever gotten. It was like bags of like Chick-fil-A, delicious dips. It was like, things that he's owned forever and ever and ever and ever. So we said, listen, what if we did this? What if we had somebody come in, bag and box everything that you have in this house? This is 1,500 square feet, Mike. Floor to ceiling of stuff. We had a crew off Craigslist go in, box it up, bag it up, paid for a year of it to be in a storage facility, right? And then he can go through and pick out what he wanted to do and make sure that he got all settled up. But because we were able to offer that and to like work with him, if we were able to do this, then would you do this, right? The if-then questions are really important on these appointments. If we're able to keep all your stuff, get it organized, put it somewhere in storage so that you can take your time over the next year to figure out what you wanted to keep. Now, I don't know if he kept any of it. I don't know if it's one of those things where like, he decided to pay for the storage or not or whatever else, but we boxed it up, put it out there. He signed the contract. We got it done and made like $63,000. Awesome deal. Awesome deal. But he wouldn't do it unless we removed the obstacles. There's a lot of obstacles. A lot of times we run into, I have a family member living in there and I don't want to be the one that breaks the news to him, right? They don't want to leave. Or there's the obstacles of, I need to go and fix it up before I sell it, right? Do you have the budget to do that? No, but I'm waiting on a check that I'm going to get from this or that, or, I'm saving up to be able to do it. It'll never happen. So remove those obstacles. If you could sell it and not have to put another cent into the property and you're still going to net the same amount, would you move forward? If then, boom, remove the obstacles. And then post-possession. Matt, I put it in the file. Do you have the post-possession ready to pop up here? It's in the live stream. Will you put it in here? I'm going to show you guys the post-possession agreement that we use, but this just helped. So we had another guy that is moving to Texas. He's got a property here in Arizona, and he wanted to wait 60 days to be able to sell his property because he was going to buy something in Texas. So what I talked to Ryan, this is a couple weeks ago. This is the deal that he locked up Friday when we were at Steak 44 eating a delicious meal, getting ready for the conference. This is why it's so powerful to actually build a business that runs without you guys, because it starts with doing your first deal, and then you get consistency so that you can go into this business full time, and then you're self-employed, but then you start getting really good and building your systems so that you start replacing yourself in your business. And then once you're out of it, that's when it gets really, really exciting. And that's what I want for everybody that's watching this. But the post-possession, I said, listen, tell him that we'll close on it and he can he could stay there 60 days. He'll have his cash in his account, so he doesn't have to make an offer on the property he wants to buy contingent on him selling this property. This happens all the time. People make offers contingent on their property selling. So he didn't have to do that. So he was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And because of that, we got the property at an unbelievable profit. Unbelievable profit. But when you do a post-possession, you want to do what's called an escrow holdback, where you're keeping some of the funds from the property owner's proceeds with the title company until they leave. So they know, listen, you can get this extra, the $10,000 that's sitting with the escrow company as soon as you are out of the property. And so it gives a little bit of friction, a little bit of pressure on them to make sure that they're going to actually move out of there. And there's a penalty every day that they don't. And here's the addendum for post-possession after closing that we use. This was drawn up by our attorney. Any of these, make sure that you run by a local in-state attorney or the title company or closing attorney that you work with so that they can make sure that it'll work for your deals. And we'll make sure by the end of the day today that this will be uploaded in the Academy under the tools and resources. We'll make sure that it's at wholesalinginc.com, wholesalinginc.com, and then just go into the Academy, and this will be the post-possession agreement there. And you'll be able to access that and use that if you got a deal that that you need it right now. So those are the five. Those are the five that are really going to help you out. They really help our business out on a week-to-week basis because it helps to make sure that we can match up what the pain is for the property owner with our offer. Okay. And this is what next level people do as they are negotiating. And this is why maybe sometimes you're getting beat if you're just getting started. They accepted a different offer or this and that, or can I make this? Can I offer more earnest money? Can I show them credibility? Am I able to remove the obstacles? Can I do a post possession? What is that? Ask the questions here. That's the point of this show. Ask the questions in here. Mike's on the comments section today, and he's going to be giving the best comments onto the show, and we'll answer them live here. But that's the point. So there you go. Let's put it up one more time, Matt, for anybody just jumping on. Getting offers accepted. Here's 5 tools to put into your toolbox. Being able to close faster, more earnest money, or releasing the earnest money, or making it non-refundable, building the credibility or showing your credibility, removing obstacles, and giving them a post-possession. That's what's working right now in the market currently. Okay? Awesome. Welcome to Wholesaling Inc. Live, where we know that finding discounted property is the most proven path to financial freedom. I am your host, Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, joined by the incredible Mike Mahoney, my best friend since we were 12. Boom, junior high, baby. And we're here for 4 things. Number 1, to give you the instruction that you need to implement into your business so that you can go out there and get more deals. Number 2, to make sure that we answer your questions or whatever challenges that you're going through right now so that you don't have to, sit around waiting for, researching them and figuring out maybe how to do them. We're going to answer them and bulldoze all of those challenges right away. Number 3 is for you to squat up in the comments section. Make sure that you are treating this like a networking event where you are putting in where you do business so that you can find other people of like mind that you can connect with. Do not do this business alone. Do not do this business alone. Squat up in the comment section. And number 4, celebrate your success. Big or small, we want to celebrate your success. All right. I don't care if you're just getting started and you just found your first ugly house that you wrote down the address and you're going to go and reach out to that property owner, or you just closed a 6-figure deal. We want to ring this victory bell and celebrate you, because the fact is recognition matters. Recognition matters, energy matters, and the attention that we put on the success that you're having matters. So let's open this show up. Awesome. How are we looking, Mike?
Ready?
Ready.
All right.
All right, good.
Look at this.
Esther, what if they say, where will I move? That's a great one, Esther. That is a perfect invitation that they're giving you to ask more questions, right? Well, if you were to move, where would you go to next? I mean, do you have any thoughts of where you would go to next? Well, I would probably go here, or I could live with family, or I could do this. Remember, we are deal finders, not deal creators. So if they're like, well, I don't know where I'd move to next, they haven't made the decision that they're going to sell the property. Well, why would you consider selling the property right now? Tell me more about that. There's not somewhere where you would move. An area, like ideally, if you had a magic wand and you could just move somewhere else, where would that be? Right? And that really lets you know. Number 1, when I talk about you have to qualify your prospects at the very, very tippity top of this show, right? Tippity top. It's qualify the prospects. Have they made the decision that they're going to sell? Because we're not going to enter people's lives and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I have never thought about selling before. This is crazy. You know what I mean? I don't even know. Where would I live? You know what I mean? A lot of times that's just kind of their force field. So you got to dig in deeper. Well, tell me more about that. If you were to move, where would you go to next? Right? Use the magic wand. You have a magic wand and you could live anywhere. Where would it be? Right? Pull that out, Esther. And if they literally don't have any plans and they don't have like any motivation, there's no real pain for them to move on. Find a different prospect. Deal finders, not deal creators. But sometimes they use that as a force field. Dig in a little bit deeper and see if they have somewhere to go. All right? Awesome. Great question.
From Glenn.
Glenn.
Yep.
Brent, a little off topic, but my amazing wife, Jacqueline, is asking what is title means and what is deed. Is title a place or a document? Thanks. Shout out to Mr. Mahoney. Oh, I see. Yeah, you guys want your comments ready. Give a shout out to Mr. Mahoney here.
The wheels, yep.
Here we go. So the title company is making sure that when the ownership of the property is transferred, and it's transferred through a deed, is transferred without anybody else's hooks into the deal, right? So it's like, I own this myself and I can give it to Mike, but I owe a couple people money and they've got liens on the property, like a mortgage, like taxes, like I went and put a pool in, but I never finished paying the people. They can put a contractor's lien on my property. I have to pay all those with the money that Mike gives me for that property to be able for him to get that property with no encumbrances, with nobody else. Nobody else has a right to that property. So I'm trying to put it in, I guess that's as simple as possible. It's just making sure that when it transfers from somebody else, from one owner to the other, nobody else has their hand in the pie. Cool.
All right.
Awesome.
Here we go.
And the title company does that. The title company does the research to see if there's any liens or clouds on the title, and they make sure that those get removed with the cash that the buyer brings in. Abdul, what do you consider a dead lead? Number one, they don't want to sell. They don't. They just don't want to sell. That's an absolute dead lead. Typically, I mean, typically that's most of them. Is what I mean. Is like you're like they go, well, how much will you give me? And you're like 75,000. They're like, oh my god, click. They're like, I would never sell for that. I want 300,000. Okay, if you sold for 300,000, where would you move to next? Well, I don't know. I'm not really serious about this. If somebody's going to give me 300,000, well, I could give you 300,000, but it'll have to be in payments. Would you be open to that? No, I need to be cashed out of 300,000. Okay. So if you don't sell the property for 300,000, what are you going to do with the property? Just out of curiosity. We're not even talking. We're not negotiating here. I'm just out of curiosity. If you weren't to sell it for 300,000, what's your plans? I'll just keep it. I'll just live in it until I can get the price that I want. Awesome. That is not a lead. That's a dead lead. That's somebody that doesn't want to sell. And that's typically what it is. Do they want to sell? A lead is somebody that wants to sell. And then you start working and you start looking at, okay, what's the pain here? Well, the pain is they don't want the responsibility of this property, but they want a really high price. Great. That's a creative finance deal, if possible. They don't want this property. They want to be cashed out. They understand that it needs a lot of work. So they're willing to accept a lower price for this property because they understand somebody needs to take the risk of buying it, the risk of putting in investment, and the risk of putting it on the market to get the top dollar for that. Remember, investors get paid because of the risk. Entrepreneurs get paid because of the risk. Capitalism is all about risk. It is. It truly is. And so more risk, more reward. I mean, that's just like science. I don't know if it's a science, but you get it.
Science. Quick, this is a two-parter. So here's from Abdul.
Two-parter.
Follow up to this.
Oh, okay. How long after the seller ghosts you would you consider it a dead lead? It depends. Listen, a lot of people, Abdul, they just aren't good at making decisions. And they don't want to disappoint you because they just don't want to string you along. They feel uncomfortable. They don't want to talk to you because they don't want to disappoint you. These are very empathetic, really kind people for the most part. And so you have to really go out to them. You got to go knock on their door. You got to send them a letter. You got to text them. Just plant the seed, plant the seed, plant the seed. If it's an ugly house, if it's a destroyed house, Abdul, just keep them in your long-term follow-up. I mean, truly, if they're not going to answer the phone, to make a phone call, leave a voicemail, and to text them on average takes 2 minutes. So you do that 2 minutes. You do that, once a month with these property owners that don't really give you a timeline. And then all of a sudden they pop up out of nowhere, or they don't. If they sell it to somebody else, done. Okay. And if they don't really want to sell, done. But you can put them on long-term follow-up, send a call, quick voicemail, quick text message, and then move on. But don't let those, you got to make sure that you understand the hot leads. And hot leads are the leads that have a shorter timeline. Shorter timeline means hot leads. I don't care about the price. If they've got pain and they're ready to get rid of that pain, woo, that's a hot lead. Ric Flair, woo! Wow. That kind of came out of nowhere.
That's good.
From
today.
Deirdre, how do you get credibility when you're just starting out? I love it. Great questions so far. You guys are on fire. They're on fire, Mike. Yeah. Credibility. Squat up with somebody, Deirdre, in your market, and you say, listen, I'm being super proactive. I'm going out there and I'm finding leads. I'm knocking doors. I'm making calls. I'm sending texts. Whatever you're doing for lead generation, go explain that you're doing that. And just be like, when I come across a really good deal, but it's got the owner wants somebody that's been in the business a long time, wants a lot of credibility. Can we partner on these deals? And just find the biggest person. Just find the best person that you can that'll communicate with you, that'll really give you the time of day. But people will not. I'll tell you this. This is why people have so many issues with squatting up with people doing way more than them. It's because they're not loud enough and they're not proactive enough. If you actually bring real deals to people, they will respect it. They will. But if you're just if you're just like, oh, I saw this deal on the MLS and I think it's a good deal, stop it. They've seen everything on the MLS. Has to be off market. And unless you've got something that's on the MLS, but you've got it at a significant discount, which is different, that's something different. But you can't just be throwing out, bad leads at people and being like, hey, can you comp this for me? I mean, you can if you go to like Keegley. Keegley will comp those things for you. But you got to make sure that they're really good deals, and you could just make sure that you're communicating and being in front of them and being enthusiastic and being positive. Most people will not block you if you're proactive, optimistic, positive, and actually have conviction about this business. If you're just dabbling in this, you're just like, well, help me. You're not going to help me. It's not going to happen. You got to put out and you'll receive for sure.
All right. How about this?
D Hog. Hey, Brent. If we don't have the earnest money, do we get that from the buyer? Thanks. Sure. You can certainly get that from the buyer. Absolutely. But if you don't have the earnest money, you're going to lose out on some deals early on. I'm just telling you. You're just going to lose out on them. If I come in and you go in, and I'm giving them like ridiculous terms, I'm going to win. It's just that, but you'll be at that point you'll be there at some point, unless you have somebody that's backing you, unless you have a partner. That is me. If you partnered with me and you brought a deal and you're like, hey, I need your strength here. That's what people do. That's why people split deals early on, is for that exact reason. Now, I'm not saying you have to do that if you've got somebody that you're just negotiating with them yourself. I'm just saying, if you're negotiating and there's other offers and you're trying to pull this all together, leverage other people's experience and funds. OPM, OPT, other people's money, other people's time. OPE, other people's experience. Joe. What's up, Joe?
Hey, Joe.
With the market and how it's going, how many months do we go back to comp houses? Thanks. Great question. We go back 90 days. Maximum. I mean, 30 days is where I'm starting that, Joe. I'm looking at what's going on right now. Actually, Joe, I'll tell you this. The best comps are pending. The ones that are under contract right now, the ones that show pending or under contract, are the absolute best comps, because that's showing you what the market's willing to pay right now. Now, it doesn't show, it's not like exactly what it's going to close at, because you don't know what the negotiations look like. But it's a really good indicator. If that price is out there and it attracted a buyer, that's a great comp. Because the actives could just be hopeful, and that could be just wishful thinking. Pendings are what's actually closing right now, and solds are just giving you a glimpse at the past. So it's good, but the best deals are pending. Absolute best comps are pending.
Another one from Joe.
All right. If the wife is on title, but not the mortgage, I'm assuming she still has to sign in order to sell, correct? Anybody that's on title has to sign at the closing. Now, you can have a valid contract. Depends on the state. So don't check with your state. Here in Arizona, if you get a purchase contract with the husband, but the wife hasn't signed for some reason, it's a valid contract. But they have to get to the title company. I mean, the both of them have to sign the deed. They can't transfer title unless both sign the deed. Just think of it like, and going back to Glenn and Jacqueline's question, if you've got it's like a car title. You know how on a car title you have to get the back of it signed, and you go to the car dealership and you have to sign it, or it's you're doing a private sale and they sign it and they give ownership to somebody else. It's just showing who has ownership of this property. And so everybody that has ownership has to sign that over to the new buyer.
Here's from Jeremy.
Jeremy, an elderly woman has a few hoarder houses unoccupied and won't sell. Her daughter wants to sell once the mom allows or passes. How often should I check in with the daughter? What should I be saying? All the time. All the time. Has anything changed? What's going on? Has your mom decided that she wants to sell? That's crazy. We've dealt with this before, Jeremy, where it's like they use them as storage units. We've got one right now. That one that's Mike, the zoo house, right? They're hoarding animals. They've got an emu in the backyard. They've got 4 or 5 parrots and parakeets. They've got a dozen dogs. They've got 19 cats. They've got some lizards, some big iguanas rolling around, doing all this stuff. But they own a bunch of properties. They just inherited them.
Ooh,
and so, yeah.
That place must smell pretty good.
Oh, man. And so all the time, check in. How's it going? How can I help? Check it. I was thinking about you guys. How can I help? It's all, how can I help? How can I help? How can I help? And then what if we just did one house at a time? Not all of them at the same time. What if we just did one house at a time to kind of ease the process? That's what I would go with. Great question.
Okay. Esther. All right. And real quick, she says she usually knocks if the house is distressed. So
Yes.
Let's flush that out a little more if it makes sense.
Yeah, Esther. I started door knocking. What do you recommend looking for? Yeah, I mean, I would honestly, you could do a really solid job with the Deal Machine app. The Deal Machine app will show you it shows you all the properties that are in distress, so you can just go to the ones that are showing signs of distress. But I wouldn't go after properties that look beautiful. You know what I mean? I would just go for the properties that look really rough and that are popping up as some sort of distress. Pre-foreclosures, tax liens, regular liens, tired landlords maybe. Maybe you could talk to the tenant, but usually you want to get a hold of them on the phone. Any properties that look destroyed, you want to reach out. And oftentimes the vacant properties, you need to knock the neighbors on each side and the 3 on the other side of the street. So you go to that neighbor, and the 3 across the street, and you're like, listen, I'm interested in buying this property, but I just can't get a hold of the property owner. Can you catch me up to speed on what's going on with this house? Oh, yes. There's always somebody that knows. There's always somebody that's like in the Nextdoor app, just, typing away, just watching the whole neighborhood all the time. They know what's going on. They'll give you the scoop, and they love talking about it because they want it. They don't want them vacant. They want them fixed up. They want somebody living there typically because they get broken into, because, shenanigans happen there. There's loud noises. There's craziness. So you'll be the hero of the neighborhood.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. They give you a whole plaque and everything.
That's going to be good. So
put a statue of you up.
Even better. More comping stuff. So people aren't into, okay.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Another from Joe and then to Rudy.
Yeah, Joe. I mean, it just depends. This is a great question. So a 5-month comp is too old. I mean, if it's in the area, it can play. Appraisers will use it, maybe, but they'll look 90 days within an area first. So the question I have is, why is it the only property is selling that area? And is there cash buyers and investors that want to be in that area? That's number one. And remember, it doesn't matter. What matters is price or terms. So you'll find buyers if you get it at a low enough price. If only one property selling in a neighborhood, maybe it's really rural, then you're going to need to get a lot more. You're going to have to get it at a really smoking hot deal to seduce a buyer into taking that deal down. But if you're looking for, what I would look at is the neighborhood, and I would go, okay, I'm going to remove all the square footage real quick. I'm going to keep the same levels, like 1 story with 1 story, 2 story with 2 story, 3 with 3. I'm going to keep the same levels, but I'm going to remove the square footage and kind of get an idea of price per square foot. And then multiply mine by that, and it'll give me a pretty good idea. And then I'll look for comps that are pending around there for sure. If there's no pending in the area, that's a huge indicator. It's just it's a really slow area, and you got to get a smoking hot deal. So yeah, 5 months. If you have to, you can. But 5 months ago, the market's changed. I mean, December of last year to now, it's changed. And in our market, it's gone up incredibly. So, I mean, if you feel like your market has increased, absolutely use that comp to the seller.
Isn't that crazy in Phoenix? I mean, last year, there was a couple months where it was kind of spooky.
Yeah.
But things are gone crazy again.
June, July, August, September, October, November, December, market inventory went bananas. Right. We went up to 3 months. Now we're back at like 3/4 of a month.
Cash buyers just put their head in the sand for a couple months.
They did. Well, everybody unloaded their clips. Everybody got rid of the properties. Yeah. Every property owner that was thinking about upgrading or downgrading their properties, but had 2 or 3% mortgages, want to stay in there because they love the payment. They don't want to have the same payment for less house or worse area. So they've been locked in. So inventory hasn't increased, but interest rates have pretty much stabilized. So buyers understand what's happening. And so there's supply and demand.
Here's one from Steven.
Steven, looking good, my man.
All right.
This power tie. That's a Republican, I bet. Just making a generalization. And it's usually accurate because we're entrepreneurs. But Steven, how do you handle short sale wholesaling? What's the approach? We don't short sale wholesaling. You can't. I mean, you legally cannot. They will throw you in jail. So here's what you can do. You can buy a short sale, close on it, wait the ownership period. They'll put, when they do a short sale, they'll send a letter at the end outlining all the terms. And one of the terms is you have to own the property for a minimum of 90 days, typically. But they won't let it go through title. It won't go through title. It won't go through a closing attorney if you try to assign a short sale deal. They stopped that back in 2010. And I know people that made a fortune on it. And maybe there's some different ways where you go and you put it under contract and you're the company owner and then you sell your ownership to somebody else. But if the banks find out, you are toasty toast.
There's too many other places.
There's too many other ways, Stephen. Yep.
Okay.
And if anybody's out there doing it, be very leery because it's just a matter of time. There might be some loophole there. They'll close it. I'll just tell you. I mean, think about this. You're going there. The government backs these loans. You're going there and going, hey, government, basically, you can only get this amount for this property. And they're like, okay, you've convinced me. And then you sell it for more before it closes through some loophole. And they're like, did you just fraud us? Because you just proved that this is what the property's worth, but obviously it's not. I wouldn't mess with it. It's when you have a loan, a conventional loan on a property, like go after properties that have equity if you're going to wholesale. Or you can do a creative finance deal and wholesale creative finance, that's fine. But if it's a short sale where there's convincing the bank to take less and then you make more on top of it, they're fine if you own it for 90 days because then market improvements, cleanup, whatever, other comps, other properties sell, they understand. Run away, brother. Seriously, run away. And I'm like the loosest guy ever. I'm like, yeah, ask for, forgiveness and not permission. I'm telling you on this one, don't mess with it.
Here's another bridge to burn just to save people some time.
Yep.
This is Christy.
Christy, great. How do you buy property from the federal government? So they'll go for sale. They'll typically list it on the market, or they'll list it through HUD. That's a bidding auction. Then typically, is it still HUD.com?
I forgot about HUD.
Yeah. Is there still HUD? Maybe HUD.com or HUD Homes or HUD Homes. You could Google it. It just shows all the federally owned properties that they put out for auction. But typically, it's owner occupied only for a certain amount of time. And then if people don't bid on them, then they'll get investors in there. But typically people do bid on them because they'll give construction loans, they'll give rehab loans, they'll do all sorts of different programs for people that buy HUD homes. But typically HUD is trying to sell to owners, to owner occupieds, not investors. So just watch that. And if it's past the period, or they allow you as an investor to put an offer in, go for it. But they typically it's reserved for owner occupied.
Here's from Jay Sean.
Jay Sean. Hey, Brent, how do you pull a list for vacant land from batch leads? What's your criteria? I love it. Great question. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that go for land in town first. Make sure that it is zoned residential, right? If you're going for that, that's going to be your biggest pool of buyers. And I like in-town properties that are residential. And I like them to be owned for a while. I like them to be owned for at least 7 years, maybe 10 years, just to play around with it. I like to play around with the original purchase price. So you can put in, like, I don't want to go after properties that sold 10 years ago for like $1 million. Because those will pull up too. I like pulling it down to like original purchase price of whatever. You look at the median sale price in your market, just Google median sale price, my market. And I like being around 10% of that median sale price for what I sell it for. So, put it for under that. And then that should give you a really solid list to go after. And then obviously not listed. I put MLS no. Not currently active. What else do I do? That'll get you in a good spot. Jashawn. It's a cool name. Jashawn Rushing. Sounds like a running back. Yep. Kim, I have been unmotivated to cold call for 4 months, but I'm back on the bike when door knocking. What do you say for owner? First of all, Kim, you're going to get the first bell ring because it is hard. You know what, Matt? Will you put up that graphic real quick? Put up that the graphic I sent you, because I think this is so spot on. I love this. Somebody posted this to Facebook. I don't remember who it is. If it was you, please let me know. I'll give you credit for it. But this is it, right? You're at the crossroads, and we've talked about this a lot. Decisions determine the outcomes. Decisions, not your past. All right. The decisions determine the outcomes. And so you've got a choice. Hard decisions or easy decisions. But the hard decisions, the things that people don't want to do, lead to the easy life. Mike and I were just at an 8-figure business conference. Every single person there had a hustle season. But guess what? Every person there is at that easy life where they work 1 day a week, maybe a couple hours. They make millions of dollars net after taxes every single year. Every single one of them was that guy climbing that hard decision mountain. Everybody with easy decisions that everybody that went the easy path, everybody that's looking for the easy way to get them, they end up living the hard life. You get sick, boom, you're broke. You get old, you're not able to work anymore. You don't have a retirement set up. What happens if you have special needs members of your family? What happens? You know what I mean? Like, all easy decisions lead to a hard life. The hard decisions lead to the easy life. but you have to go through that process. And on average, I've seen it take 7 years. 7 years. 7-year hustle season on average. I've seen people do it in 3. I've seen people working on it for 10, 15. It just depends on how many hard decisions you make early on. And the fact, Kim, that you're getting back on and you're talking to people and you're having conversations and listen, guys, if there was a more profitable way, a more convenient way for you guys, for all of us, we're all in this together, to have better conversations and make more offers on properties to get more income, I would be shouting from the top of this mountain. I would be telling everybody to go do it. And it would be so amazing. But time and time again, marketing efforts, lead generation efforts become fads. They work for 90 days, 6 months, and then they're gone. And then people's businesses are crippled. What works is talking to people. What works is being proactive. What works is picking up the phone and having those conversations. If something else worked better, more effective, and long lasting, I would be talking about and doing it. I think that we all can believe that. But the fact is, to have conversations and make offers, you have 3 choices. You either get a bunch of people that know what you're doing and refer you business and wait for those deals to come in. You spend money on marketing, which is fantastic, and people call you when they're ready to sell their property, but it's expensive. Or you go out and you be proactive and you pick up the phone and you take some action, or you go out into the streets and you door knock and you find some opportunities. If there was a better way, I'd love to know about it. I'd love to know about it. I'm just telling you, if you want to build a long-lasting business that has a very solid foundation that you can guarantee that you are going to win for as long as you want to win, you have to be proactive. You have to be proactive to the point where you got a budget to market and where you've got a reputation where people just send you deals. Awesome, right? Kim, I celebrate you. A little bit of a rant for that, but I think it was warranted. LA Mars, I have a friend that invited me to a tax lien auction. Awesome. Is there anything that I can learn when it comes to wholesaling the properties? No. That's not wholesaling. You would buy, what happens is, this is what happens at tax lien auctions. They start out at 16%, and some Yahoo goes, I'll do it for 1%. So they don't make money on it. They're just hoping that somebody will get to the point where they can foreclose on that property for whatever they bought that tax lien for. And so they just hope that at some point the property owner forgets about it, or they're able to foreclose on those properties and get those properties. And so you would actually own it for that. It's cool. It's a long-term strategy. Most people pay their taxes.
And a coin toss.
Yeah. And you need to know which properties you're going after. And be certain that there are nationwide companies that look at every tax lien and determine which properties they want to bid down to the lowest. It's whoever offers the lowest return gets that deal, and then you have to pay for the tax lien. I mean, you buy the tax lien, and then you can foreclose it in a certain amount of time depending on your state. And remember, there's redemption periods, and remember that if people don't know that you're foreclosing on them and you just show up and you're like, I'm the new owner, things could get messy.
So do you bother with tax liens, one? And then do we know anybody who's crushing it with tax liens?
I don't.
Yep.
I know I know a couple people that do well with it, but that's their whole technique. It's a different model. I just know that I'm not going to wait around. I'm going to go get a deal right now.
So is it newbie friendly if you're looking to make money like in the next 90 days?
I think it's like side hustle. You make good money as an accountant or a business person or a manager or something, and you just want a safe investment to put your money into. Great.
Got it.
Try it. I don't know. I've never been at the tax lien auction. I just don't know millionaires from it.
Yeah.
I know a lot of millionaires from wholesaling and flipping and buying rental properties. Hamilton. Hey, Brent. What kind of tools, apps do you recommend in 2023 to find my first wholesale deal? Dealmachine.com. for sure. Make sure you use the coupon code TTP. It's the biggest discount they give, guys. It's the biggest discount. Let's revise that, Matt. I don't know if it is still $10 off a month? I don't know, but it's the biggest discount they give. It is. Okay, great. And drive for dollars, find an ugly house, call them up. 80% of first deals are done from driving for dollars. Batchskiptracing.com is where you get the phone numbers for those properties. Batchskiptracing.com. And then batch leads at ttpdata.com or rhinolists.com. Those are the three. But you can start out with Deal Machine and go get some ugly properties and get your first deal done. And that's I think it's like $50 or $60 for the app. And then Rhino Lists, if you want to pull more lists, batch leads. Awesome. Great question. Get that first deal. Sydney, I came across a vacant lot in a subdivision a couple weeks ago. I used batch to skip trace and no phone numbers came up. Would you suggest mail? Yes. Yeah, I would suggest mail. And I would suggest you find, like, where's the mailing address? Is the mailing address like a P.O. box or is the mailing address like somebody's house? And then I would skip trace that address, the person's house. And oftentimes with vacant land, it doesn't come up because they've never like registered their phone number to that. So go to the mailing address and pull on that thread and skip trace the mailing address to get the phone number. And if they don't, if it's like an LLC, then find out who the managing member is and then pull on that thread. Where do they live? Then skip trace.
We got to warm up your bell ringing arm.
Uh-oh. We got some celebrations. Daniel wholesaled an MLS deal 3 months ago. Agent was happy. She brought me another off-market deal 3 days ago and found a buyer yesterday. Assignment fee. Listen to this, y'all. Assignment fee $25,000. Hashtag agent outreach. I love it. Congratulations. Here you go. There you go. Building relationships, building referrals. Listen, referrals are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get you deals.
It's one of the legs of your business.
That's the legs of 100%. I mean, it's not just, people have been talking about referrals for forever. People have been talking about MLS deals for forever. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You could go after both. UK Mama. All right. Mama 4, starting 2 years ago, but back at it again. I'm pulling vacant, non-occupied in Minnesota, but not much success. I'm nervous about virtual. I like Minnesota. My guys in Minneapolis and St. Paul are crushing. I feel like there's not a lot of wholesalers in Minnesota, to be honest, UK Mama. I think Minnesota is a very, very sneaky market. I really do. Don't be nervous. Listen, it's all building your pipeline. First 90 days is that tough grind up the side of this mountain. For real, it is a tough climb. But you get through that, you're going to have leads. Every 200 people you talk to should be a deal. Just keep going. But you have to talk to 200 people. That's the problem. Most people have never talked to 200 strangers on the phone ever. Ever. But you're doing it. Just stick with it. Stick with it. Keep having those conversations. Keep working on it. And see where your sticking point is. Like, what's going on? Like, are people hanging up right away? Are you not getting a hold of enough people? Do you feel like when you do get a hold of them, they just don't want to sell? There's little things there, and test out other lists. Vacant non-occupied are getting hit up. So build your driving for dollars. Build your multifamily list. Build your tired landlord list. Build your pre-foreclosures, your probates, your inherited. I'll tell you what, for years, no one has been able to access U.S. Leads List. Woo! U.S. Leads List is back. New owner, Micah, is an absolute superstar. They have unbelievable data for inherited and probate properties. Not the cheapest, but man, if you got the budget, I had tried to get it for 12 years in Phoenix. It's been sold out. They would only do certain amounts in territories. And U.S. Leads List. And tell them I sent you. Tell them TTP, whatever. Wholesaling Inc, Rhino, whatever, and they'll hook you up.
He was at Growth Summit.
He's part of the Rhino tribe now.
How about that?
The best of the best are.
Mm-hmm.
Joanne, Brent, how far out do you go to get comps? Some are going out 3 to 4 to 3/4 of a mile to 1 mile. Yeah. The first start up, Matt, do we have the comping rules? You're going to have to dig deep for that one. I don't know if we have enough time. Maybe we'll do it next week. But so you want to start as close in as possible in that neighborhood, right? And then you want to make sure that you're within major streets. You don't want to cross any major streets or highways or streams or lakes or whatever it is, forests, right? You want to stay within a certain geographical area because typically the architecture is going to be the same and the building quality is going to be the same. And that's what appraisers and banks look at. And then if you have to expand out of that, you go 1/4 mile, 1/2 mile, 3/4 a mile. But hopefully there's enough comps in there that you, one, know that there's a lot of buyers in that area and it's a popular area. But two, it'll make it easier for a cash buyer to make a decision because they're not looking for, they're not like asking you, well, where's the comps? You know, so hopefully there's a good amount of comps with just that. Awesome. Great show.
Dude, we're out of questions.
We're out of questions.
We are out
That is
of
awesome.
questions.
Well, that is good. Well, bring it in, guys. Come on in, Matt. We'll put up those comping rules next week when we're back. But thank you for joining. If you haven't subscribed and you're getting value out of it, make sure that you subscribe. Matt and Daniel do an unbelievable job editing and putting up videos every single day, whether they're conversations on the podcast, whether it's live shows like this, to give you the most confidence to go out there and get deals locked up. So remember, keep your house clean, protect your health, increase your value to the world. You'll live an incredible life. I love you. I'll see you next week. Bye.